It's time to stop waiting for the perfect moment to change your life. It's right now. You have the power to reinvent yourself, to reshape your future. And it starts with one simple but powerful decision. The decision to take control. Reinventing yourself isn't about starting over from scratch. It's about recognizing the potential within you, taking responsibility for where you are, and making the commitment to become the person you know you're capable of being. The journey to transformation begins with a clear vision of who you want to become. Every step you take, no matter how small, builds toward that bigger picture of your best self. Along the way, you'll face challenges, setbacks, and moments of doubt. But that's part of the process. Real growth happens when you embrace the journey, celebrate the small victories, and trust that with each step you're moving closer to the life you deserve. This is your opportunity to take control, to break free from what's been holding you back, and to create the future you've always dreamed of. The power to change is already within you. It's time to unlock it. Number 1, take full responsibility for your life. Let me tell you something that can change your life forever. Your life doesn't truly begin until you take full responsibility for it. That's the moment everything shifts. It's when you stop waiting for someone to rescue you, stop blaming your circumstances, and start realizing that the pen has always been in your hand. You are the author of your story, and it's time to start writing a new chapter. Now, I know that can sound a little heavy at first. Taking responsibility isn't easy. It's uncomfortable. It means looking in the mirror and saying, the good, the bad, and the ugly, it's all on me. It means accepting that your health, your finances, your relationships, your career where they are right now, is a direct result of the choices you've made up to this point. That's tough to hear, isn't it? But here's the beauty of it. If you created the mess, you can clean it up. If you're responsible for where you are, you're also responsible for where you're going. And that's powerful. See, a lot of people spend their lives waiting. They're waiting for the economy to get better, waiting for their boss to notice them, waiting for the right time to start a business, go back to school, or fix their relationships. But here's the truth. There's no perfect time, and no one is coming to save you. The government isn't going to save you. Your friends, your family, they might love you, but they can't live your life for you. If you want change, if you want progress, it starts with you deciding, I'm in charge. Now, I want you to think about the moments in your life where you felt stuck. Maybe you've said things like, I can't catch a break, or if only I had more time, more money, more support. I get it. We've all been there. But I want to challenge you to flip the script. Instead of saying, why is this happening to me? Ask, what can I do about it? That one shift, taking control, instead of playing the victim, can completely transform how you approach your problems. Think about it. If you don't like your job, what can you do? Maybe it's learning a new skill or applying for something better. If your health isn't where it should be, what small changes can you make today to improve it? If your relationships are strained, what steps can you take to repair them? It's not about waiting for someone else to change. It's about looking at what you can control and starting there. Let me share something personal with you. When I was young, I was broke and frustrated. I had more excuses than I could count. I blamed my lack of education, my upbringing, the people around me. But one day, a mentor of mine sat me down and gave me a piece of advice that changed my life. He said, Jim, if you want to have more, you have to become more. At first, I didn't fully understand what he meant. But over time, I realized he was telling me to take responsibility for my growth. He was telling me to stop pointing fingers and start working on myself. That's what I want you to do today. Take an honest look at your life. Where are you winning? And where are you falling short? Don't shy away from the hard truths. If your finances are a mess, admit it. If your health needs work, own it. If you've been neglecting your relationships, face it. Because until you acknowledge where you are, you can't map out where you want to go. Now let's talk about something that trips a lot of people up. Excuses. We're all good at making them, aren't we? I don't have enough time. I'm too old. I've tried before and it didn't work. Let me tell you. Excuses are nothing more than stories we tell ourselves to stay comfortable. They're the chains that keep us tied to the same old patterns. And here's the thing, as long as you keep making excuses, you're giving away your power. So I want you to make a commitment right now to drop the excuses. Every time you catch yourself saying, I can't, replace it with, how can I? Every time you think, it's not my fault, ask, what's my role in this? This isn't about blaming yourself for everything that goes wrong. It's about empowering yourself to find solutions. Taking responsibility doesn't mean you have to do everything alone. It's okay to ask for help. It's okay to seek advice or lean on others for support. But at the end of the day, the decision to change has to come from you. No one else can want it for you. No one else can put in the work. Here's a powerful exercise you can try. Grab a piece of paper and write down every area of your life, your career, your health, your relationships, your finances. Next to each one, write down how satisfied you are on a scale of 1 to 10. Then for anything below an 8, write out what you're going to do to improve it. Not what you hope someone else will do, not what you wish would change, but what you are going to do. When you take responsibility, something amazing happens. You stop feeling helpless. You realize that while you can't control everything, you can always control your attitude and your actions. And those two things, they're the keys to turning any situation around. Let me leave you with this thought. Responsibility isn't a burden. It's a gift. It means you have the power to shape your future. It means you're not at the mercy of your circumstances. You're in the driver's seat. So take the wheel, take charge, and start building the life you deserve, because no one else can do it for you. Are you ready to take that first step? I believe in you. Now it's time for you to believe in yourself. Number 2, develop a clear vision for the new you. If you don't know where you're going, how will you know when you've arrived? Vision isn't just a word. It's the map for your life. And here's the truth. Without a clear vision of who you want to become and the life you want to live, you'll spend your days wandering aimlessly, reacting to whatever comes your way, instead of creating the life you deserve. Developing a vision for the new you is the most important step in reinventing yourself, because it gives you purpose, direction, and a reason to wake up with determination every single day. Take a moment right now and think about this. What does your ideal life look like? Not the life you've settled for, but the life you truly want. Picture it clearly. What kind of work are you doing? What does your health look like? Who are the people around you? How do you spend your days? You've got to see it in your mind before you can create it in reality. Most people never stop to ask themselves these questions. They drift through life, reacting to circumstances, never realizing they're capable of designing something better. But here's the thing. Clarity doesn't just show up one day. You've got to sit down, reflect, and decide what you really want. And when I say decide, I mean get specific. Saying I want to be successful or I want to be happy isn't enough. What does success mean to you? What does happiness look like? For one person, it might mean building a business and earning millions. For someone else, it could mean having the freedom to spend time with their family. There's no right or wrong answer. It's your vision. But if you're vague about it, you'll never know what you're aiming for. Now let me warn you, when you start dreaming about the life you want, doubt will try to creep in. That little voice in your head will whisper, "Who do you think you are? That's too big. That's too hard. That's not for you." You've got to silence that voice, because the truth is, if you can imagine it, you can create it. Vision isn't about where you are now. It's about where you're going. And it doesn't matter how far off it seems. Every great achievement started as nothing more than a dream in someone's mind. I remember when I first started out, I didn't have much of anything. I was broke, struggling, and unsure of what the future held. But one day I sat down and asked myself, what do I want my life to look like 5 years from now, 10 years from now? I pictured a life where I was financially independent, where I could travel, where I could make a difference in people's lives. I didn't know how I was going to get there at the time, but I knew one thing. I had to start moving in that direction. And that's what vision does. It pulls you forward, even when the path isn't clear. Once you have a vision, the next step is to commit to it. And I don't mean casually wishing for it or hoping it'll happen. I mean making a decision that no matter what, you're going to do what it takes to turn that vision into reality. This is where most people stop. They get inspired by the idea of a better life, but they don't follow through because it feels too far away. But let me tell you, the distance between where you are and where you want to be is closed one step at a time. And here's the secret. You don't have to figure out every single step right now. You don't need to know how it's all going to come together. All you need is the next step, the first move that gets you closer to your vision. Maybe it's reading a book, taking a course, or reaching out to someone who can guide you. It doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to move you forward. As you work toward your vision, you're going to face challenges. That's a given. Life will test you to see how badly you want it. But when your vision is strong, when it's real and vivid in your mind, you'll have the strength to keep going. That's why it's so important to remind yourself of your vision every single day. Write it down. Put it somewhere you can see it. On your mirror, your desk, your phone. Read it every morning and every night. Keep it front and center in your mind. I want you to understand something powerful. Your vision is unique to you. Don't compare it to anyone else's. It's easy to get caught up in what other people are doing, to feel like you're falling behind or that you should want what they have. But your journey is your own. And your vision should reflect your values, your dreams, and what truly matters to you. Stay focused on that. So where do you start? Start by giving yourself permission to dream again. Let go of the doubts, the fears, and the limitations that have held you back. Take some time, real, uninterrupted time, and write down everything you want for your life. Don't censor yourself. Don't worry about how you're going to make it happen. Just get it out of your head and onto paper. When you look at that vision, you should feel excited. You should feel a little scared too, because that's how you know you're dreaming big enough. Comfort zones are nice, but nothing grows there. Your vision should stretch you, challenge you, and make you reach for more. And remember, vision isn't a one-time thing. It evolves as you grow. The person you are today isn't the same person you'll be a year from now. And that's a good thing. Keep refining your vision as you learn more about yourself and what you're capable of. Let me ask you this. If you don't take the time to create a vision for your life, who will? If you don't decide where you're going, someone else will decide for you. And I don't know about you, but I'd rather be the one in control of my future. So decide today that you're going to take the wheel. Decide that your life is worth the effort. Your vision is the foundation for everything else. It's what gives your goals meaning and your actions purpose. Without it, you're just going through the motions. But with it, you become unstoppable. So dream big, commit fully, and start building the life you've always wanted. You've got what it takes. Now it's time to prove it to yourself. Number 3, learn from your past, but don't live there. Your past does not define your future unless you let it. Whatever has happened, no matter how hard or painful, is not a life sentence. It's a lesson. And when you start to see it that way, you take the first step toward creating a better, brighter version of yourself. Too many people are stuck living in the shadows of their past. They carry around the weight of their mistakes, their failures, and their regrets like a heavy backpack they can't seem to put down. But let me tell you this, as long as you're holding on to that weight, you're not free to move forward. You're not free to grow, to dream, or to create the life you deserve. The past has no power over you unless you keep giving it power. Let's face it, life isn't always fair. Bad things happen. We all make choices we wish we could take back. We all face moments we'd rather forget. But here's the truth. Those experiences, no matter how difficult, are part of your story. They don't have to be the whole story, but they can be a chapter that teaches you something, shapes you, and prepares you for what's next. The key is to learn from your past without living in it. When I was younger, I made my fair share of mistakes. There were times I felt like I'd never get ahead, that I'd never recover from the choices I'd made. I remember sitting in my tiny, run-down apartment, feeling sorry for myself, thinking, why did I let things get this bad? But one day I realized something. I couldn't change what had already happened, but I could change what happened next. That moment changed everything for me. If you're going to reinvent yourself, you have to stop looking backward. You can't drive forward if you're constantly staring in the rearview mirror. Yes, glance back every now and then to remind yourself of where you've been and what you've learned. But don't live there. Don't let your past mistakes or missed opportunities keep you from seeing the possibilities ahead of you. Think about your past for a moment. What's holding you back? Is it a failure you've never let go of? A bad decision you can't forgive yourself for? Maybe it's something someone else did to you. Something that left a scar. Whatever it is, I want you to understand this. You have the power to let it go. You have the power to say, this happened, but it doesn't control me anymore. Letting go doesn't mean you forget. It doesn't mean you pretend it didn't happen. It means you stop letting it define who you are today. It means you take the lessons, leave the pain, and move forward. Here's the thing. The past is full of lessons, if you're willing to see them. Every mistake you've made has taught you something. Maybe it's taught you what doesn't work. Maybe it's shown you what's truly important. Maybe it's helped you understand your own strength. Those lessons are gifts, but only if you use them. I've met so many people who say, Jim, I can't move on. I've messed up too much. I've wasted too many years. And I always tell them the same thing. It's not too late. It's never too late. I don't care how old you are, how many mistakes you've made, or how stuck you feel. The moment you decide to let go of your past is the moment your future begins. But I won't lie to you, it's not easy. Letting go takes courage. It takes self-forgiveness. And sometimes it means forgiving others, even if they don't ask for it or deserve it. Forgiveness isn't about letting someone off the hook. It's about freeing yourself. It's about saying, I'm not going to carry this pain any longer. I'm choosing to move forward. You have to start looking at yourself differently. You're not the person you were 5 years ago, 5 months ago, or even 5 minutes ago. Every day you have the chance to start fresh, to make new choices, to be better. But that won't happen if you keep defining yourself by who you used to be. You've got to see yourself not as the person who failed, but as the person who's learned. Not as the person who's broken, but as the person who's rebuilding. Take some time to reflect on what your past has taught you. Write it down if you need to. What have you learned about yourself? What have you learned about life? And most importantly, how are you going to use those lessons to move forward? There's a power in taking ownership of your story. When you stop seeing your past as something that happened *to you, and start seeing it as something that's happening *for you, everything changes. You realize that even the hardest moments have shaped you into the person you are today. And that person, they're stronger, wiser, and more capable than they give themselves credit for. I want you to imagine for a moment what your life could look like if you stopped letting your past hold you back. What would you do if you weren't afraid of failing again? Who would you become if you let go of the guilt, the shame, the regret? Picture that version of yourself. Hold on to that image. That's who you're capable of becoming. But you have to decide to move toward it. The past is over. You can't go back and change it, but you can decide what it means to you. You can choose to let it make you bitter, or you can choose to let it make you better. That choice is yours. So starting today, I want you to make a promise to yourself. Promise that you'll stop beating yourself up over what's already done. Promise that you'll take the lessons and leave the pain. Promise that you'll start focusing on what's ahead instead of what's behind. You're not your mistakes. You're not your failures. You're not the things that happened to you. You're the person who's still here, still standing, still ready to grow. That's your power. That's your strength. And as long as you're willing to learn, to grow, and to keep moving forward, there's nothing you can't overcome. Your past is just a chapter. It's not the whole story. And you're the author. So pick up the pen, turn the page, and start writing the next chapter of your life, because the best is yet to come. Number 4, change your daily habits. If you want to change your life, start by changing what you do every single day. The truth is, your daily habits are either building the life you want or quietly destroying it. There's no middle ground. The small, consistent actions you take or don't take are shaping your future, whether you realize it or not. If you're serious about reinventing yourself, then you've got to take a hard look at how you're spending your time and energy each day. Most people live on autopilot. They wake up, go through the motions, and repeat the same patterns over and over again, wondering why their life isn't changing. But here's the thing. Nothing will change until you change. And change starts with what you do daily. You can't wish your way to a better life. You can't hope your way to a new version of yourself. You have to act your way there, one habit at a time. So let me ask you this. What are your current habits creating for you? Be honest with yourself. Are they moving you closer to the person you want to become? Or are they keeping you stuck? The answer to that question will tell you everything you need to know about why your life looks the way it does right now. If you're not happy with where you are, don't blame your circumstances. Don't blame the economy, your boss, or your upbringing. Look at your habits, because that's where the real power lies. When I first started learning about success, one of the most eye-opening lessons I discovered was this. Success is nothing more than a series of small, disciplined habits, repeated consistently over time. It's not about the big, dramatic changes. It's not about the once-in-a-lifetime opportunities. It's about what you do every day, when no one's watching, when it's not exciting, when it's not easy. Those moments define your future. Now let's get practical. If you want to change your habits, you've got to start by identifying the ones that are holding you back. Take some time to reflect on your daily routine. What do you do when you first wake up? How do you spend your evenings? How much time do you waste scrolling through your phone, watching TV, or doing things that don't serve your goals? Be brutally honest with yourself, because you can't fix what you won't face. Once you've identified the habits that aren't serving you, it's time to replace them with habits that will. And here's the key. Start small. Don't try to change everything at once. That's a recipe for burnout and failure. Instead, pick one or two habits to focus on and commit to them fully. Maybe it's waking up 30 minutes earlier to exercise or read. Maybe it's cutting out one unhealthy snack a day. Maybe it's setting aside 15 minutes every evening to plan your next day. Whatever it is, make it simple, doable, and consistent. Let me tell you why consistency matters so much. When you repeat a habit over and over again, it becomes automatic. You don't have to think about it. You just do it. And when that happens, the habit starts to shape your identity. You stop thinking of yourself as someone who's trying to change, and you start seeing yourself as someone who has changed. That shift in identity is powerful because it reinforces your commitment to the new you. But let me be clear, building new habits isn't always easy. There will be days when you don't feel like it, when you're tired, when life gets in the way. Those are the moments that test your commitment. And those are the moments when you have to remind yourself why you're doing this. Keep your vision front and center. Remind yourself of the person you're becoming. And remember, it's not about being perfect. It's about being consistent. I'll tell you a little secret about habits. They create momentum. When you start making small positive changes in one area of your life, it spills over into other areas. You start to feel more confident, more motivated, more in control. And that momentum keeps you moving forward, even when the road gets tough. It's a beautiful cycle, and it all starts with one small change. Now let's talk about the habits you'll need to create the new you. These will depend on your vision and your goals, but there are some foundational habits that everyone can benefit from. Habits like taking care of your body, because your health is your foundation. Habits like feeding your mind with positive, uplifting, and empowering information, because what you consume shapes your thoughts, and your thoughts shape your life. Habits like setting goals, tracking your progress, and celebrating your wins, because success is built on clarity and discipline. And don't forget about the habits that nurture your relationships. Success isn't just about what you achieve. It's about the connections you build along the way. Make time for the people who matter. Show up for them. Listen to them. Appreciate them. Those habits are just as important as the ones that focus on your personal growth. Here's something else to keep in mind. Not every habit will stick right away, and that's okay. You're going to stumble. You're going to mess up. You're going to have days when you fall back into old patterns. Don't let that discourage you. Progress isn't a straight line. What matters is that you keep getting back up and trying again. Every time you do, you're reinforcing your commitment to the person you're becoming. As you work on building new habits, remember to be patient with yourself. Change takes time. You didn't develop your current habits overnight, and you won't replace them overnight either. But with persistence, you will see results, and those results will fuel your belief in what's possible. Let me leave you with this. Your habits are the seeds you plant in the garden of your life. If you plant seeds of discipline, focus, and growth, you'll reap a harvest of success, fulfillment, and joy. But if you neglect your garden, if you let weeds of procrastination, distraction, and negativity take over, you'll never see the life you want come to fruition. So start today. Take a hard look at your habits. Decide which ones need to go and which ones you're ready to build. Then take the first step, no matter how small, because every great transformation begins with a single choice. And that choice is yours to make. What kind of life are you going to create? It all starts with the habits you choose, right here, right now. Make them count. Number 5, expand your circle of influence. The people you surround yourself with will either lift you higher or pull you down. If you want to reinvent yourself, one of the most important things you must do is evaluate your circle of influence. Look around you, your friends, your colleagues, your mentors, the people you spend the most time with. Are they encouraging you to grow, to dream bigger, to become the best version of yourself? Or are they holding you back, keeping you stuck in the same old patterns? This might be one of the hardest truths to face, but it's absolutely necessary. You become like the people you spend the most time with. Their habits, their attitudes, their mindset, it all rubs off on you. If you're constantly surrounded by negativity, by people who complain, who doubt, who settle for less, then it's only a matter of time before you start doing the same. But if you surround yourself with people who inspire you, who challenge you, who push you to be better, then you'll start to rise to their level. When I was younger, I didn't understand this. I spent years surrounded by people who had no ambition, no drive, no vision for their lives. And guess what? I became just like them. I let myself get comfortable, complacent, and stuck. It wasn't until I started seeking out people who were living the kind of life I wanted that everything changed for me. Being around successful, motivated, and positive people made me realize how much more I was capable of. It raised my standards, and it can do the same for you. Now, this doesn't mean you have to cut everyone out of your life or start ignoring your friends and family. But it does mean you need to be intentional about who you spend your time with. Start asking yourself some tough questions. Who in your life inspires you? Who believes in you, even when you doubt yourself? Who challenges you to grow and holds you accountable to your goals? And on the flip side, who drains your energy? Who fills your mind with doubt or negativity? Who keeps you stuck in old habits that no longer serve you? It's not easy to admit that some of the people in your life might be holding you back. But if you're serious about reinventing yourself, you can't afford to ignore this. You don't have to cut ties completely, but you do need to set boundaries. Protect your energy. Limit the time you spend with people who don't align with the vision you have for your life. And instead, start seeking out relationships that lift you up. One of the best ways to expand your circle of influence is to find people who are already where you want to be. Maybe it's someone in your field who's achieved the level of success you're striving for. Maybe it's a mentor, a coach, or even an author whose work resonates with you. The key is to surround yourself with people who can show you what's possible. People who challenge you to think bigger, dream bigger, and do more. But let me tell you this, you don't just show up and expect these relationships to happen overnight. You have to put in the effort. You have to bring value to the table. If you want to be around people who inspire you, you need to be someone they want to be around too. That means working on yourself, developing your skills, and showing up as your best self every day. I'll never forget the first time I met someone who truly inspired me. I was nervous, unsure of myself, and intimidated by their success. But I realized something that day. They weren't better than me. They were just further along on their journey. They had the courage to take the steps I hadn't taken yet. And instead of feeling jealous or discouraged, I decided to learn from them. I asked questions, I listened, and I soaked up every bit of wisdom they were willing to share. That relationship changed my life, and it all started because I had the courage to reach out. You can do the same. Start by looking for opportunities to connect with people who inspire you. Attend events, join groups, and surround yourself with like-minded individuals who are striving for the same things you are. Don't be afraid to step outside your comfort zone. It might feel awkward or intimidating at first, but the relationships you build will be worth it. And don't underestimate the power of online connections. We live in a time where you can connect with anyone, anywhere, at any time. Use that to your advantage. Follow people who inspire you on social media. Join online communities that align with your goals. Engage in conversations, ask for advice, and be willing to learn. The more you put yourself out there, the more opportunities you'll have to expand your circle of influence. But remember, it's not just about finding people who can lift you up. It's also about being that person for others. Be the kind of friend, mentor, or colleague who inspires and supports the people around you. Encourage them, challenge them, and help them grow. When you give, you create a ripple effect that comes back to you in ways you can't even imagine. As you start to surround yourself with the right people, you'll notice a shift in your mindset. You'll start to believe in yourself more. You'll start to dream bigger. You'll start to take actions you never thought you were capable of. That's the power of influence. It shapes who you are and who you become. So take a good look at your circle today. Be honest about who's helping you grow and who's holding you back. And then make the choice to surround yourself with people who inspire you, challenge you, and believe in you. Because the truth is, you can't reinvent yourself alone. Success is a team sport, and the right team will change your life. Now go out there and find your team. Be intentional about the relationships you build and the energy you allow into your life. Because when you surround yourself with the right people, there's no limit to what you can achieve. The future you're dreaming of starts with the choices you make today. So choose wisely and never stop reaching for more. Number 6, invest in continuous learning. The moment you stop learning, you stop growing. Think about that for a second. Life is constantly moving forward, evolving, and shifting. If you're not actively learning, if you're not challenging yourself to expand your knowledge and skills, You're standing still in a world that's moving ahead without you. Reinventing yourself isn't just about changing what you do. It's about transforming who you are. And that transformation begins with a commitment to continuous learning. Learning doesn't end when you finish school. In fact, real learning begins when you step into the world and decide to take charge of your own growth. The beauty of learning is that it's limitless. You can always go deeper, always discover something new, always uncover a skill or a piece of wisdom that takes your life to the next level. If you want to reinvent yourself, if you're serious about becoming a better version of who you are today, then you must embrace the mindset that learning is a lifelong journey. Ask yourself this: when was the last time you learned something new? Not because you had to, but because you wanted to. When was the last time you picked up a book that challenged your thinking, took a class that stretched your abilities, or had a conversation with someone who made you see the world in a different way? If it's been a while, don't beat yourself up. Just recognize that now is the perfect time to start again. One of the most powerful things you can do for yourself is to become a student of life. Be curious. Be hungry for knowledge. Look at every experience, every challenge, every success, and every failure as an opportunity to learn. When you adopt this mindset, everything becomes a lesson. You stop seeing setbacks as obstacles and start seeing them as opportunities to grow. You stop fearing change and start welcoming it as a chance to evolve. Let me share something that's worked for me. I've always believed in the importance of feeding your mind with good, strong, positive material. Your mind is like a garden. Whatever you plant will grow. If you plant seeds of doubt, negativity, and fear, those are the weeds that will take over your thinking. But if you plant seeds of wisdom, inspiration, and knowledge, those are the things that will flourish and shape the way you see the world. One of the simplest ways to do this is by reading. Books are one of the greatest tools we have for learning and growth. When you read, you're tapping into the thoughts, experiences, and lessons of people who've been where you want to go. You're gaining insights that might have taken them decades to learn, all condensed into a few hundred pages. That's powerful. Whether it's books on personal development, biographies of people you admire, or even fiction that expands your imagination, make reading a part of your daily routine. But learning doesn't just come from books. It comes from people too. Surround yourself with people who inspire you, who challenge you, who have knowledge and experience you can learn from. Be intentional about seeking out mentors, whether in your personal life, your career, or your community. A mentor can offer you guidance, perspective, and encouragement when you need it most. And don't be afraid to ask questions. People who've achieved great things are often more than willing to share their journey, but you have to be willing to listen and learn. Another powerful way to keep learning is to invest in new skills. We live in a time where you can learn just about anything online. There are courses, tutorials, and resources for every skill you could imagine, many of them free. Want to learn a new language? There's an app for that. Want to improve your public speaking? There are classes for that. Want to develop a new hobby, like painting, or cooking, or coding? The tools are right at your fingertips. The only thing standing between you and a new skill is your willingness to take that first step. Here's something else to consider. Learning doesn't always have to be about practical skills. Sometimes the most valuable lessons are the ones that help you understand yourself better. Take the time to reflect on your experiences, your strengths, your weaknesses, and your dreams. Journaling is a great way to do this. When you write down your thoughts, you gain clarity about what's working in your life and what's not. You start to see patterns and opportunities for growth that you might have missed before. Now let's talk about one of the biggest barriers to continuous learning. Fear. Fear of failure. Fear of looking foolish. Fear of stepping outside your comfort zone. It's easy to get stuck in the mindset of, I'm not good enough, or it's too late for me to learn that. But let me tell you something. Fear is a liar. It's not there to protect you. It's there to keep you small. The only way to overcome fear is to face it head on. Take that class. Have that conversation. Try that new skill. You might stumble. You might fall. But every time you get back up, you're stronger than before. Here's the truth. Learning isn't always comfortable. It often requires you to unlearn old habits, challenge your assumptions, and confront your limitations. But that discomfort is where the magic happens. Growth doesn't come from staying where you are. It comes from pushing yourself to go further than you thought you could. And the more you embrace that process, the more you'll realize that you're capable of far more than you ever imagined. Let me leave you with this. Every time you learn something new, you're adding another tool to your toolbox. You're equipping yourself to handle life's challenges, seize opportunities, and create the future you want. The knowledge you gain becomes a part of who you are. It shapes your perspective, your decisions, and your destiny. So don't wait for the perfect moment to start learning. Start now. Pick up a book, sign up for a course, or have a conversation with someone who inspires you. Make learning a priority, and watch how it transforms not just what you do, but who you are. Remember, the person you're becoming depends on the knowledge you're willing to seek today. Your future self is waiting. Make sure you're ready for them. Number 7. Focus on your strengths but address weaknesses. You are far stronger than you think, but too often, we spend our lives focusing on what's wrong with us, instead of recognizing the immense potential we already have. Isn't it amazing how much energy we waste beating ourselves up over our weaknesses, as if that's the only thing that defines us? Let me tell you something that can change your life. Your strengths are your greatest asset, and they are more than enough to build the life you want. But at the same time, ignoring your weaknesses entirely can hold you back from becoming the best version of yourself. Real reinvention comes from finding a balance, focusing on your strengths, while working on those areas that need improvement. Take a moment to think about what you're good at. It doesn't have to be something grand or flashy. Maybe you're great at connecting with people, organizing a plan, or staying calm under pressure. Those strengths are your foundation. They are the tools that will help you reinvent yourself. Too many people get caught up in comparing themselves to others, thinking, I'm not as talented as that person, or I don't have what it takes to succeed. But here's the truth. You already have exactly what you need to start. Your strengths, however small they might seem to you, are what will set you apart and give you a head start. The first step in this journey is recognizing and owning your strengths. And I mean really owning them, not brushing them off or downplaying them. If you're someone who always shows up on time and follows through on promises, that's a strength. If you're creative and come up with ideas that others wouldn't have thought of, that's a strength. If you're hardworking and willing to put in the time to achieve something, that's a strength. But here's the thing. Those strengths are useless unless you use them. Don't let them sit there, unnoticed and underutilized. They are yours to maximize, to sharpen, and to let shine. Now let's talk about weaknesses. I know it's uncomfortable. Nobody likes to admit they're not perfect. But here's the good news. A weakness isn't permanent. It's not a label that defines who you are forever. It's simply an area where you have room to grow. And growth is what this entire journey is about, isn't it? So instead of hiding from your weaknesses or pretending they don't exist, face them. Look at them straight on and say, I see you, and I'm going to work on you. Because the moment you acknowledge them, you take away their power to hold you back. But don't get stuck in the trap of thinking you have to fix everything at once. You don't have to be good at everything. That's impossible. And honestly, it's unnecessary. The key is to identify the weaknesses that are standing in the way of your growth and focus on improving those. Maybe you're not great at managing your time and it's keeping you from achieving your goals. Or maybe you struggle with communication and it's holding you back in your relationships or career. Whatever it is, choose 1 or 2 areas to work on at a time and give them your full attention. Growth takes time, and that's okay. The important thing is that you're making progress. Here's something else to think about. The process of improving your weaknesses can actually make your strengths even stronger. Let's say you're naturally good at leading people, but you struggle with listening. By working on your listening skills, you become a more effective leader. Or maybe you're great at coming up with creative ideas, but you struggle with organization. By learning to organize your thoughts, your creativity becomes even more impactful. Every step you take to improve yourself makes you a more complete, well-rounded person. And while you're doing this work, strengthening your strengths and improving your weaknesses, don't forget to celebrate the small wins along the way. Too often we wait for the big milestones to feel proud of ourselves. But the truth is, it's the little victories that add up to real transformation. Did you finally stick to a new habit for a week? Celebrate that. Did you take a small step toward improving a skill you've been struggling with? Acknowledge that progress. Every step forward, no matter how small, is a step toward the person you're becoming. Let's also talk about mindset, because that's where everything starts. If you approach your strengths and weaknesses with a mindset of this is who I am and I can't change, then nothing will change. But if you adopt a mindset of growth, if you believe that you can learn, improve, and evolve, then there's no limit to what you can achieve. It's not about being perfect. It's about being better today than you were yesterday, and better tomorrow than you are today. Another thing to remember is that you don't have to do this alone. Seek out people who can help you see your strengths more clearly. Sometimes we're so close to ourselves that we can't see the full picture. Ask a trusted friend, mentor, or family member, what do you think I'm good at? Their perspective might surprise you and give you a boost of confidence. And when it comes to your weaknesses, don't be afraid to ask for help. Whether it's through a mentor, a coach, or a course, there's no shame in seeking support to improve yourself. In fact, it's one of the smartest things you can do. Finally, remember that this journey of balancing your strengths and addressing your weaknesses isn't a one-time thing. It's a lifelong process. You're always growing, always learning, always evolving. And that's a beautiful thing. Because every time you take the time to improve yourself, you're not just changing your life, you're setting an example for others. You're showing them what's possible when you embrace your strengths and have the courage to work on your weaknesses. So today, I want to challenge you. Take a good, honest look at yourself. What are your strengths? What are your weaknesses? Write them down, reflect on them, and then make a plan to maximize what you're already good at and improve what's holding you back. It won't be easy, but it will be worth it, because the person you'll become on the other side of this journey is someone you can be proud of. And that, my friend, is the ultimate goal. Number 8, take bold, consistent action. Your life will never change if you keep waiting for the perfect moment, the right opportunity, or the stars to align. Real transformation happens when you stop waiting and start moving. Bold, consistent action is what separates those who dream from those who achieve. And today I want to talk to you about how you can step into that place of action, not just once in a while, but every single day. Because your future, your success, your reinvention depends on what you do. Not someday, not tomorrow, but today. Think about the dreams you've had, the goals you've written down, the changes you've promised yourself you'd make. How many of them are still sitting there, untouched, waiting for you to make a move? It's easy to tell ourselves, I'll start next week, or I need to feel ready. But let me tell you something. There's no such thing as being ready. Readiness is a myth. Bold action doesn't wait for you to feel ready. It requires you to act in spite of fear, in spite of doubt, in spite of uncertainty. That's where growth happens. That's where you begin to rewrite your story. Every great achievement in life started with a single step. And often, that first step was the hardest. Why? Because it's uncomfortable. It forces you out of your routine, out of what feels safe. But let me ask you this. How comfortable is staying stuck? How comfortable is living a life that doesn't reflect your potential? The truth is, staying where you are might feel safe in the moment, but over time, it's one of the most uncomfortable places to be. So what's it going to be? Will you step into discomfort now, or will you live with the regret of not trying later? Here's the key. Action doesn't have to be perfect. In fact, it never will be. Too many people get paralyzed by the idea that they need to have everything figured out before they start. They think they need a detailed plan, the right resources, or more time. But the reality is you learn as you go. You grow as you move. The path becomes clearer once you start walking it. Waiting for perfection is just another form of procrastination. Bold action is messy. It's imperfect. And that's okay, because every imperfect step you take brings you closer to the person you want to become. Consistency is what turns bold action into a lifestyle. Anyone can take one big leap and call it a day. But true reinvention requires showing up day after day, even when it's hard, even when you don't feel like it, even when progress seems slow. Think of it like planting a garden. You don't see the results overnight, but every time you water those seeds, every time you pull out the weeds, you're building something that will bloom in time. That's what consistency does. It builds momentum, it builds discipline, and it builds results. Now let's address the elephant in the room. Fear. Fear is the number one thing that stops people from taking action. Fear of failure, fear of rejection, fear of the unknown. But let me tell you something that changed my life. Fear isn't a stop sign. It's a signal. It's telling you that you're about to do something that matters. You see, fear doesn't show up when you're sitting on the couch doing nothing. It shows up when you're about to step into something bigger, something that could change your life. So instead of running from fear, lean into it. Use it as fuel. Let it remind you that you're alive and that you're capable of more than you realize. Action also has a way of silencing the inner critic. You know that voice in your head that tells you you're not good enough, not smart enough, not talented enough. It thrives on inaction. The longer you wait, the louder it gets. But when you take action, Even the smallest step, you prove that voice wrong. You show yourself what you're capable of. And every time you do that, you build confidence. Confidence isn't something you're born with. It's something you earn by showing up, by trying, by failing, and by trying again. It's also important to surround yourself with people who inspire action. Look around you. Are the people in your life encouraging you to grow, to take risks, to go after your dreams? Or are they holding you back with doubt, negativity, or complacency? Bold action thrives in the right environment. Find people who are also taking bold, consistent action in their lives. Their energy will inspire you. Their stories will remind you what's possible. And if you don't have those people in your life right now, start seeking them out. Read books, listen to podcasts, join communities of like-minded individuals. Don't underestimate the power of being surrounded by action-oriented people. Remember, bold action isn't always about big, dramatic gestures. Sometimes it's the small, consistent steps that make the biggest difference. It's waking up an hour earlier to work on your dream. It's saying no to distractions so you can focus on what matters. It's choosing to keep going, even when it feels like nothing is working. Bold action is a mindset. It's a commitment to yourself that no matter what, you're going to keep moving forward. And let's not forget to celebrate along the way. Every time you take action, you're building the life you want that deserves recognition. Too often we get so focused on the end goal that we forget to acknowledge the progress we're making. But progress is what it's all about. Every step you take, no matter how small, is a victory. So take a moment to celebrate those wins. They're proof that you're on the right path. So here's my challenge to you. Take bold, consistent action, starting today. Not tomorrow, not next week, but today. What's one thing you can do right now to move closer to your goal? It doesn't have to be big. It just has to be something. Maybe it's making a phone call, sending an email, or writing down a plan. Whatever it is, do it now. Because action creates momentum, and momentum creates change. Your life won't change by accident. It will change because you decided to take bold, consistent action. It will change because you stopped waiting and started moving. So what are you waiting for? The future you want is waiting for you, but it's up to you to go after it. Make today the day you take that first step. Make today the day you prove to yourself that you're capable of more than you ever imagined. You've got this. Now go out there and make it happen. Number 9, embrace failure as part of growth. Failure isn't something to fear. It's something to embrace. In fact, failure is not just a part of the journey. It's one of the greatest teachers you'll ever have. The truth is, if you're not failing, you're not growing. Because growth comes through experience, and experience often comes with mistakes, setbacks, and challenges. And when you can shift your perspective on failure, when you see it for what it really is, a lesson in disguise, that's when you begin to unlock your true potential. Let me ask you this. When was the last time you really tried something new? Not the kind of new thing that feels safe or comfortable, but the one that stretches you, challenges you, forces you to step outside of your comfort zone. Think about it. Often the reason we avoid trying new things or taking risks is because we're afraid of failing. We've been conditioned to believe that failure means we're not good enough, that we're not capable. But that couldn't be further from the truth. Failure is not an indicator of your worth. It's simply an indicator that you're doing something difficult, something worthwhile. And let's be honest, the things that are truly worth having in life are rarely easy to achieve. I want you to think about the people you admire most, the ones you look up to and think, wow, they have it all together. Do you think they got to where they are by avoiding failure? No, they've failed, and they've failed big. They've fallen down, they've stumbled, they've made mistakes, but they didn't let those moments define them. They let them refine them. They let each failure teach them something valuable, something that helped them become who they are today. So if you're sitting there afraid of failure, afraid to take that leap because you might not succeed the first time, just remember that's where the magic happens. That's where growth is born. I'm going to be honest with you, the road to success is paved with failure. If you're afraid to fail, you're going to stay stuck in the same place, spinning your wheels and wondering why nothing is changing. But when you embrace failure as part of the process, you free yourself to move forward. And here's the thing, failure isn't permanent. It's temporary. It's a moment in time that you can choose to learn from, adjust, and try again. In fact, some of the most successful people in history failed multiple times before they ever found success. Thomas Edison, who invented the light bulb, failed thousands of times before he figured it out. Can you imagine if he had given up after the first few failures, or the 100th? We wouldn't have the light bulb, but instead he saw every failure as one step closer to success. When you start to view failure not as something to avoid, but as something to learn from, you begin to see setbacks differently. You realize that every time you fall short, every time things don't go as planned, you're gaining valuable insights. What didn't work? Why didn't it work? What can you do differently next time? These are the questions that successful people ask. They don't let failure be the end of their story. They let it be the beginning of a new chapter. Let me tell you something about the fear of failure. It's all in your mind. Most of the time, we make up these worst-case scenarios in our heads and convince ourselves that failing is the worst thing that could happen. But the truth is, you can survive failure. You can bounce back from it. And every time you do, you come out stronger, wiser, and more determined. So why not take the risk? Why not try? Even if you're not sure you'll succeed. Because every time you try, you're building resilience. You're developing mental toughness, the kind that will carry you through the tough times, the uncertain times, the times when everything feels like it's falling apart. You're also building confidence. The more you fail and get back up, the more you realize that failure isn't the end. It's just a detour. It's just one moment in a much larger journey. And every time you try again, every time you get back in the game after a setback, you prove to yourself that you can handle whatever comes your way. That's how you build confidence. Not through avoiding failure, but through facing it head on, learning from it, and using it as fuel to keep going. There's also a deeper lesson here. Failure teaches you what really matters. When you fail, you have to reassess your goals, your methods, and your motivations. You have to get clear about why you're doing what you're doing in the first place. And let me tell you, when you really understand your why, when you get crystal clear on your purpose, you can face any failure with the knowledge that you're not giving up. You're not quitting. You're just taking a different path toward the same destination. That's the power of purpose. It's what keeps you going when the road gets tough. It's what gives you the strength to rise after every fall. Now, I want to remind you that failure doesn't mean you're not cut out for something. It doesn't mean you don't have what it takes. It means you're learning. It means you're pushing the boundaries of what's possible. And if you really want to reinvent yourself, if you really want to change your life, you have to be willing to fail. You have to be willing to take chances, make mistakes, and learn along the way. That's how you grow. That's how you become the person you were meant to be. But here's the key. Don't just fail. Learn from it. Don't let failure go to waste. When something doesn't work out, ask yourself, what can I learn from this? What can I do differently next time? Failure is only truly wasted if you don't take the lesson with you. If you simply wallow in it and give up, then yes, it becomes a wasted opportunity. But if you take that failure and use it as a stepping stone, as a lesson that makes you stronger, you're moving in the right direction. The only real failure is the failure to keep going. If you quit, that's when you fail. But as long as you keep trying, keep learning, keep improving, you're moving forward. You're getting closer to your goals. You're becoming the person you're meant to be. So don't be afraid to fail. Be afraid of never trying. Because without trying, without risking failure, you're never going to know what you're truly capable of. So today I want you to make a commitment to yourself. The next time you face failure, instead of running from it, lean into it. Ask yourself what you can learn, what you can do differently, and then get back up and keep going. That's how you reinvent yourself. That's how you transform your life. Failure isn't the enemy, it's your ally. And once you embrace it, you'll see that nothing can stop you. Number 10, celebrate progress, not just perfection. You're not just here to exist, you're here to make progress. And that progress is worth celebrating. Far too often, we get fixated on the destination. We think that success is all about reaching the end goal, about being perfect and ticking every box on the to-do list. But let me tell you something. It's not just about the end. It's about the journey. It's about every step you take, every little victory along the way, and how you use those small wins to fuel the bigger ones. So many people wait until they've achieved the big success before they allow themselves to celebrate. They think they're not worthy of recognition unless they've reached that ultimate goal. But that mindset can hold you back. Because every step, every bit of progress, every small victory is a reason to celebrate. Why wait until you've climbed the mountain when the journey up the hill is just as important? You've been taking action. You've been moving forward. and that deserves recognition. Let's be real. Life is tough. It doesn't always go the way you expect it to. And it's easy to get discouraged when things aren't happening as quickly as you want them to. But think about it for a second. How often do you stop and look at the progress you've made so far? How often do you pause and really appreciate how far you've come, even if you haven't reached the final destination yet? You've faced challenges. You've had setbacks. You've fought battles. Those are things to be proud of. They're not just obstacles. They're stepping stones that are getting you closer to your ultimate goal. Each step forward, no matter how small, is a victory in itself. When you celebrate progress, it's like giving yourself permission to keep going. It's like saying, I'm doing this, I'm moving forward, and that matters. It creates momentum. It builds confidence, and it shifts your focus from what you haven't done yet to what you've already accomplished. And trust me, that shift in mindset can make all the difference. When you acknowledge the progress you've made, it reminds you that you're capable of more than you think. You start to believe in yourself, even when things get tough. It's easy to get caught up in the idea that you're not where you want to be. I get it. We all have dreams, and we all have goals that sometimes feel out of reach. But let me tell you something. You're closer than you think. The fact that you're putting in the work, the effort, and the time means you're moving closer to your destination every single day. And every time you acknowledge that progress, it becomes easier to stay motivated, to keep pushing forward, and to keep striving for more. Let's talk about this idea of perfection for a moment. Perfection is an illusion. It's something we chase, but we'll never fully catch. Because no matter how much we achieve, there's always another level, another goal, another thing we feel we need to do. But if you're always chasing perfection, you'll never be satisfied, and you'll miss out on appreciating the journey. So here's the truth. Perfection doesn't exist. What exists is progress. What exists is growth. And when you embrace that, when you start to celebrate your progress, you start to see the beauty in the process. Think about it. If you've made it a habit to celebrate your wins, you're creating a positive feedback loop. Every time you reach a milestone, no matter how small, you're reinforcing the idea that progress is something to be proud of. You're telling yourself that your hard work is paying off, that your efforts matter, and that you're moving forward. And that builds momentum. It builds the kind of drive that pushes you through the tough days, the setbacks, and the moments when you're not sure if you can keep going. Progress becomes your fuel, and that fuel keeps you moving when everything else seems like it's holding you back. Now, I want you to think about how many times you've been hard on yourself because you haven't reached your goals yet. Maybe you've gotten frustrated or discouraged because things aren't happening as quickly as you'd like. Maybe you've even compared yourself to others, wondering why they seem to be doing better than you. But I want to challenge you to stop and think about the progress you've made, even in those moments of struggle. Every time you push through, every time you keep going despite the challenges, that's progress. Every time you learn from a failure, every time you get back up after a setback, that's progress. And you've been making it all along. You've just been too focused on the end result to see how much you've already accomplished. So today I want you to take a moment to really appreciate how far you've come. Think about all the things you've done, the challenges you've overcome, and the lessons you've learned along the way. Celebrate the fact that you're showing up every day, that you're putting in the work, and that you're moving forward, even if it feels slow at times. Because that progress is something to be proud of. And it's something that's going to keep you going day in and day out until you reach your ultimate goal. You don't need to wait for perfection to celebrate. You don't need to wait for the finish line to give yourself credit. Every step you take is part of your journey, and that journey deserves to be celebrated. So start small. Start by recognizing your victories, whether it's finishing a task you've been putting off, overcoming a fear, or just taking that first step towards something new. Those are victories. Those are progress. And when you celebrate them, you send a message to yourself that you're capable, that you're moving forward, and that you're getting closer to the life you want to create. And remember, progress doesn't have to be big to matter. It's the small steps, the daily actions, that create the biggest change over time. Don't overlook the little things. Don't dismiss them as unimportant, because each one is a piece of the puzzle. And without those pieces, the picture would never come together. So take a moment to appreciate how far you've come and how much you've grown. You've earned it. And when you celebrate your progress, you're not just acknowledging how far you've come. You're also preparing yourself for the next step, the next challenge, and the next victory. As you continue on this journey, keep celebrating your progress. Don't wait for perfection. Don't wait for the finish line. Recognize the small wins. Honor the lessons. And always remember, that progress is what matters most. Because when you do, you'll not only keep moving forward, you'll keep growing, keep learning, and keep becoming the person you were always meant to be. And that, my friend, is the greatest victory of all.